The true truth about the horsemen of the apocalypse. Imagine a world on the brink of chaos, where every day seems like the last. The apocalypse fascinates, terrifies, and challenges. But what do we really know about the signs of the end times? The four horsemen of the apocalypse, from the book of Revelation by St. John, symbolize destructive forces. They embody conquest, war, famine, and death, scourges that have been feared for millennia. The first horseman, riding a white horse, is often associated with conquest and victory. Armed with a bow and wearing a crown, he represents triumph and domination over nations. The second rider, mounted on a red horse, embodies war and conflict. His sword symbolizes the bloody battles and incessant quarrels that ravage the lands and destroy the peoples. The third horseman, on a black horse, announces famine and desolation. Holding a scale, he illustrates food shortages, exorbitant prices, and the suffering of starving populations. The pale rider, riding a pale-colored horse, embodies death and destruction. He is often seen as the ultimate scourge, bringing with him the end of time and an ever-present anguish. The Apocalypse, according to St. John, also known as the Book of Revelation, is the last book of the New Testament. It describes prophetic visions of the end of the world, featuring the four horsemen as messengers of divine doom. In the Christian view, the horsemen of the apocalypse are often interpreted as manifestations of God's judgments on humanity. They symbolize destructive forces that precede the final judgment and the coming of the heavenly kingdom. Each horseman represents a different facet of destruction. The white horse symbolizes triumphant conquest, the red evokes bloody war, the black recalls devastating famine, and the pale personifies inevitable and implacable death. The white horseman sparks heated debate over his identity. While some see him as a representation of the victorious Christ, others see him as the Antichrist, a charismatic deceiver who precedes the true divine revelation and final judgment. The red horse symbolizes war and constant conflict. Its appearance heralds periods of violence and chaos. Nations clash, alliances break, and populations suffer. War is a devastating and universal force. The black horse represents famine and economic desolation. When food becomes scarce, prices rise and the most vulnerable suffer. Famine leads to riots, political instability, and increased poverty. It is a vicious cycle that is difficult to break. The pale horse, embodying death and epidemics, sows terror. His passage is marked by disease and death on a large scale. Communities are decimated, health systems are overwhelmed, and hope seems to disappear in the face of this threat. The horsemen of the apocalypse have inspired many works of art and literature. From medieval paintings to contemporary novels, their symbolism is rich and complex. They are often used to evoke the end of times or major crises. In films, the horsemen of the apocalypse are frequently represented. From classic films to modern blockbusters, their presence adds a mythical and dramatic dimension. They embody the destructive forces that threaten humanity, thus captivating the collective imagination. The horsemen of the apocalypse have found new life in video games, where they often embody fearsome adversaries or natural forces to combat. These modern representations allow us to rediscover these mythical figures from an interactive and immersive perspective. The differences between religious and cultural interpretations of the horsemen are striking. While the Christian view sees them as divine messengers, popular culture reimagines them as entities symbolizing contemporary human challenges, such as crisis and chaos. The relevance of the horsemen of the apocalypse in today's world is undeniable. They symbolize universal and timeless fears, such as war and famine, that still resonate strongly in our modern society, marked by uncertainty and conflict. Religious scholars and historians offer varying perspectives on these figures. Some see them as divine prophecies, while others see them as powerful metaphors for human struggles. Their analyses enrich our understanding and fascination with these symbols. By summarizing the meanings of the horsemen, we understand their profound impact on human culture and thought. They embody destructive and inescapable forces that push us to reflect on our existence and our place in the universe. The symbols of the horsemen still resonate today, evoking universal fears and hopes. They remind us of the fragility of our lives and the power of forces beyond our control, stimulating reflection and introspection. To further explore these fascinating mysteries and understand their impact on our modern world, subscribe to Ziada TV. Dive into captivating stories and in-depth analyses that will enrich your perspective on these timeless themes.